All right, let's talk about dilution calculations, because that's something that kind of trips some students up. They have a little bit of math anxiety. Don't be worried about it, okay? The math is very simple. The concepts are very simple once you get the hang of it, okay? So the math all comes down to this one equation, the only equation I want you to memorize all year long. C1V1 equals C2V2. C's are concentration, V's are volume. So initial concentration times the volume we use of that equals our final concentration and our final volume. That's all there is to it. Every question, no matter how it's worded, because there's 1,000,001 ways to word dilution questions, you can always come back to this equation, and it's just a matter of figuring out 3 out of these 4 numbers, and then you just plug and chug. All right, so let's do a quick, simple example. Let's say I have a solution, and it is 1 molar. I'm going to take 100 microliters, and I'm going to put it in a total volume of 1 milliliter, or 1,000 microliters. Now, you'll note I chose to write it as 1,000 microliters because you always want to make sure your units match up, okay? So if I give you milliliters and microliters, just take one and swap it to the other one. That's the easiest. When you're plugging in, watch your units. All right, and I want to know what my final concentration is. Well, all I have to do, 1 molar times 100 microliters divided by 1,000 microliters, and that is going to be 1/10 molar, right? 0.1 molar. That's my final concentration. All there was to it. Now let's do the dilution so we can actually see it. So we have 1,000 microliters total volume, but remember, this is one trick students sometimes forget. That includes our initial volume that we added the thing we're diluting, okay? So I'm going to take 100 microliters and mix it with 900 microliters of water to get our final total volume. All right, so got 900 microliters of water. Now here's my starting deep dark blue solution. Take 100 microliters of it, mix it with 900 of water, and we get this pretty light blue solution. We've just done a dilution. All right, why do we have to do dilutions? Well, there's a few different reasons, but mainly you often have a starting stock of something and it's too concentrated, so you have to dilute it. Makes sense, right? Why do we have things that are too concentrated? Well, when you make up a solution of salt, you buy something from a company, it's going to come as one concentration, usually a pretty high concentration, so that no matter what assay you're doing, no matter what experiment you need, what volume, what concentration, you can start from this and dilute it down to what you actually need to end up with. So it's very common whenever you're doing experiments that you have to take something and dilute it down to the appropriate concentration. So that's why it's so important for you guys to know how to do your dilutions and to do those calculations. Let's try another problem. You guys are going to be working with worms. Now let's say you collect your worms and you have a whole bunch. You have 1,000 worms, I'll put W, in 5 microliters of solution. Well, you only want to put about 20 worms onto a plate. You can't pipette something, you can't pipette a volume small enough to get 20 worms. So we're going to have to dilute this so that you can accurately pipette it. So the question is, how are we going to do that dilution? Well, I don't know how much of this initial thing I'm going to want. So let's just put V1 in. Our final concentration, let's say I would like it to be 20 worms. in 5 microliters. That way, it's super easy for me. Just take 5 microliters, pipette it, and I'm good. And let's say I need to do this for 50 plates. So I'm just going to make a large volume of this. So I'll make 1,000 microliters total volume. All right, and I just picked that. It doesn't have to be that. I just picked the volumes that I know that I'll have enough, right? So all we have to do is solve for V1 now. So we've got 1,000 times 20 divided by 1,000. Our units all matched up, right? I was careful about that. So V1 equals 20 microliters. If you didn't follow that, do this problem at home, write your units out, make sure you understand it. So I'm going to have, I'll take 20 microliters of my worm solution, and then remember 980, not 1,000, but 1,000 minus the 20. I'll take that of the buffer and add it to the 20 to make my new worm solution. Okay, now practice these, practice solving for different parts of it, and do the practice equations, practice problems, that are up on Blackboard, because sometimes people get tripped up with just me wording the questions in different ways. There's a million and one ways to word the questions, but it all comes back to this equation. All you have to do is figure out what numbers do I know, sub them in, make sure your units match, solve the equation, and then remember V2 is V1 plus the water or buffer that you added. That's all there is to it.